Hello, guys, and welcome to a solo episode today. I wanted to share about our pregnancy journey and our fertility journey. And I dreamed of one day being on the side that I'm on of this and in the space that I'm in. And the truth is, you take it all with you and it very much stays with you. But this has been like something in my mind that I couldn't wait to share, because after being in it and going through it, it's impossible to sometimes not feel so alone. It was definitely one of the darkest periods of my time, if not the darkest. And I just thought about all the other people that have been through it, that are still going through it, that have maybe even had a longer or more intense journey than I experienced. And I just really wanted to normalize this conversation. Something I learned by going through what I went through is that so many more people than we know go through this. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, choose not to share publicly, and that's totally fine. I do know a lot of people that have been through things that are more forward-facing and haven't shared as much, and everyone has their own journey. And for me, like, I didn't even want to share my pregnancy. I'm so relieved and happy that I did now. But on the other side of it, I was like, I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to say anything. And it has brought me so much freedom. So I don't judge anyone for what they're choosing to share or not choosing to share. But for me, it was really important to share, because I just want other people to know that they are not alone, that so many more people than you realize go through a journey before conceiving. And there's this huge initiation that happens as you take this step into a new chapter of becoming a mother or a parent. And it is definitely not for the weak. That's for sure. It called upon every ounce of strength I had in my body to show up as the person that I would be proud of and the person that I wanted to be during a very, very, very hard time. So if you are in the journey right now, I am sending you the deepest, deepest love and strength and light. If you have gone through it, I'm also sending you so much love, because I think a lot of it we don't always process as we go through it. It's a journey. And if you are on a journey of becoming a mother and it came really beautifully and blissful and easy for you, that's wonderful too. We all receive challenges in the way that we're meant to. We all go through periods in our life that are here, part of our story, part of our soul's purpose to help us grow and expand and evolve. And it's beautiful no matter what our journey is. And it is part of our divine plan, no matter how comfortable or uncomfortable it may feel at times. So wherever you are on this, I just want to send you love and gratitude for being here and wanting to hear about my journey and our journey. This was very much Vinny's journey as well. I wanted him here on the podcast, but he's going to come and do another one with me. So I figured I would just chat with you guys first, as we always do, and he'll come on for another episode. This month, it's 2 years since our journey has started. Our journey started in August of 2023. And in August, we kind of decided, we were like, okay, we're not really sure we want to be parents. We don't know if we're quote unquote ready for this, but let's go ahead and just try and see what happens. Let's just start trying. And I will be completely honest with you, this was a weird place for me to manifest from. When I want something, I usually know in my whole entire body and being that I want something, and I'll do anything to go after it. And I'm never really like, yeah, like, let's just find out what happens and go for this. Usually I have like a clear and a big yes and a green light. So off the gate, out of the gate, it was interesting that we were kind of just like, all right, let's just try, see what happens. We were really, at the time, we were 34 years old. Vinny just turned 35. I was about to turn 35 in October. And we were just in a place of like, we kind of feel like it's time. Like, what are we waiting for? But I personally never had the visualization from that point. before till then. Like I never had the visualization of like, I want a baby, I want a child, I want to be a mother, I want to wheel a stroller, I want to create a nursery. Like I never had those visions. And I'm a very visual person. And of course I have those now currently, but I'm telling you from that time period, I didn't have that up until that point. And, I thought it was interesting, and we were kind of like lost. We definitely knew at some point in our life we would have and want a family. But at that point, when we just decided to like, let's try and see what happens, it wasn't like a full body yes for us. It wasn't like a deep, deep desire for us. And how quickly things changed, just bear with me for the whole sequence of the story. But I want to give you every detail of where we were at that point. So we tried in August of 23 and we got pregnant on the first try. And I was shocked to shit. I remember going for a run that morning, the morning I took the test, and feeling this surge of energy within me. Like I could have ran for days. And I was like, oh my God, I feel just unbelievable. I feel this like energy in my body that I haven't felt in so long. Kind of, I would compare it to like my spiritual awakening, this like unlocked energy. And then on the way home, I remember just walking by the market and being like, let me just see if they have a pregnancy test. I was buying a few groceries for us to make breakfast. And I'm like, oh, they have a pregnancy test. Let me just grab it and see. Like, oh boy, how the story changes. Like this was just like so effortless. And then of course things eventually changed, as you know, because this was 2 years ago. So got a pregnancy test, went home. It was now Labor Day weekend, took the test, and Vinny wouldn't even let me record it because he was so nervous, and it was positive. And immediately we were like, holy shit, and so excited. And we're like, this is crazy. Like, happened so fast. This is like, I feel unheard of. I know some people do have this experience, but I was just like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. And what started to happen for me was I felt a really deep spiritual connection within myself during this pregnancy. I felt the energy of, and everyone's experience is different. Every pregnancy is different. So again, what I'm sharing now changed for me in other situations, and it could be very different for you or what you might experience one day. There's no right or wrong. I'm just sharing my personal experience, but I felt this energy of like, this is the best feeling ever. And it reminds me so much of when I had a spiritual awakening. That's the only way I could describe it. I felt this creative energy unlock within me. I felt so aligned to my purpose and my work and things I wanted to create. And I felt in that like feminine flow of creativity and energy. So we were going to Italy that next week or the week after. And it was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to Italy, but all good. Can't wait to go like enjoy and soak it up and be in this little bubble. I told my mom and my aunt and I think my cousin right away, like before I went to Italy, but I didn't tell anyone else. I didn't want anyone else like worrying or knowing. And then while we were there, we told Vinny's family. I think we were 6 weeks at the time. So it was so early. We were so naive. We had no idea. And I just remember his dad being like, okay, it's early. Like you have to just pray a lot and like hope everything's good. And I was like, okay, like I really didn't think that much into it. When I came home, my mom was ready to like tell the masses. My mom was ready to tell every family member. And I just remember being at my grandparents' house and she was like trying to encourage me to share. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing it. Like it didn't feel right to me. Not that I didn't feel right, but like I did not feel safe to. And it wasn't because I had any issues in the past, obviously at this point, or because I heard that you need to wait or this, that, the other thing. Like my mom gratefully never had trouble getting pregnant. Her family members really struggled, but she never had problems. So she's like, Erica, what do you mean? Like, if you're pregnant, you're pregnant. Like, that's truly what she thought. We were all extremely unaware and naive at how the journey could go. Okay, so after that, I didn't want to tell my family. She didn't really understand why, but respected it. from there, I said, like, let's just do it after our doctor's appointment. After the doctor's appointment, we will go ahead and share. So my mom and Vinny wanted to come to the doctor's appointment with me, which was wonderful and nice. And we went to a midwife in a doctor's office in a medical facility. And while we were there, I was so nervous. I was very, very, very nervous. And we got into the doctor's office and she did a sonogram. And after doing a sonogram, she saw the sac and she saw what, should have been a forming embryo. I was, how many weeks at this point? I think I was just about 8 weeks at this point. And she was like, she was referring to my mom as grandma. And she put the sonogram in and was like, there's the baby. And then I'm watching her face and all of a sudden I just see her look confused. And I was like, what's wrong? Like I knew immediately the energy changed in the room. She looked like she was looking for something she wasn't seeing. And she said, unfortunately, there's no heartbeat. And at that point, I think I left my body for a moment and experienced a lot of trauma in that moment. I was just like, oh God, like here's my mom so excited that she's going to be a grandma. Here's Vinny excited that he's going to be a father. And there I am, like, what is going on inside my body? And honestly, like I was very nervous about what would happen next. And after that, she didn't, like, there wasn't a lot of information. She was kind of just like, unfortunately, there's no heartbeat. This happens from time to time. And I just remember being like, so what happens now? Like what, like I went right into like me mode of like, am I going to be okay? What am I going to have to do to my body to like pass this and move on from this? And she was like, well, there's a chance it will pass on its own. Otherwise, there are other options. She scared the actual crap out of me and was like, people call me like begging for painkillers for when they're experiencing a miscarriage. So like, you're going to want to take some type of pain management, this, that, the other thing, and like really scared me. And I'm someone who literally doesn't take a Tylenol ever. Like I can't tell you the last time I took a Tylenol or anything like that. So I was like, okay. And something in me was like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be absolutely okay for this. But I was just nervous as to like how this would happen and would it happen on its own? Would I need to intervene in some way? And I did a lot of things energetically to let go and to release. There were meditations I was doing. I visited Marcy. There were just a few things at the time. I think I was doing acupuncture at the time, just a few things to allow my body to release this and pass it. And it did happen naturally a few days later. And I felt such a dark time, but I felt grateful for the opportunity to be able to just move on and be able to move on from this. So after that, that was right around my birthday, actually. The appointment was right before my 35th birthday. So my birthday was definitely weird that year. And I just remember after that being like, I want to be pregnant. I want to start a family. I want to go through this journey. Like this made it very clear to me that this is something that I want. And so they told us that we could try again, like right after the next cycle. I think we gave ourselves another month. November. We gave ourselves, November. I remember being in Turks with all of my friends and getting like my first period after the miscarriage. And then fast forwarding to being in Florida at the end of December, early January, I got a message. I think that was our first month trying again. And I was sitting on the beach with someone, and she was telling me how she felt herself conceive because she had the craziest cramping for implantation a few days after she conceived. This is what she was saying to me, okay? And all of a sudden, I think back and I'm like, oh my God, I had that feeling this month. Again, I don't know if everyone gets this. I don't even know if implantation happens that early or if it's just like making its way to the uterus. But I had this like wild, it was almost like really intense ovulation pain. And she's saying this on the beach. I'm like, oh my God, that's so weird. I felt that. I'm like, whatever. Then a friend messages me, a friend that actually ends up playing like a crazy role in this journey with me. But she messaged me and says, my psychic told me that you're pregnant. And I was like, that's interesting. And I'm like, what is going on? That night I actually had a spicy margarita because I did not think I was pregnant at all. And I rarely drink, which is ironic. And then the next day I woke up and I had cramping. My period was due. I'm like, Vin, I'm going to CVS. I'm going to CVS to grab a pregnancy test. So I went to CVS, got a pregnancy test. And when I got it, I remember like feeling cramps and I'm like, this is so weird. Am I about to get my period? I don't know what's going on. I went back, took a test, and it looked negative to me. And I was like, oh, okay, like it's negative. Then a few hours later, I looked at it and I was like, holy shit, I think it's positive. I took another one. It was positive. I'm like, oh my God, we're pregnant again. And I was excited, but that excitement changed very, very, very quickly from excitement to being extremely scared, worried, nervous. I felt so off, like the opposite experience of what I felt the first time. And something didn't feel right in my body. I felt very, very, very off. I was so incredibly nervous. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it happened so quickly after that I was just really nervous and scared. And I just felt like, what's going to happen here? I was feeling like random pains in like my arms and all of these weird things. I was definitely in fight or flight. And I made an appointment for the earliest I could get because my doctor knew. After going to that midwife, I actually switched to a different doctor who I really like and who came highly recommended by a friend. And he was just so gentle and kind and like sat with me and spoke to me. And I was like, I'm going to go back to him. So I went to him. I asked him if I could come like the soonest. I think it was about 6 weeks. And we went. And he said, okay, it looks a little bit smaller than I would expect, but there is that flicker for like the anticipation of the heartbeat developing. But let's see, you never know. So I knew, I was like, okay, it doesn't look great. Like it wasn't a great appointment, but it wasn't like this isn't happening for you. And then the next time we went back, I literally don't even remember the next time we went back. I don't remember this at all, but it did not take. And the embryo was about 6 weeks at that point. So my first one was around 7, almost 8 weeks. And then this one was around 6 weeks. And I was like so defeated. I went to a very, very, very dark place. I, of course, wanted all of that to happen naturally and pass on its own again. Because it was just like the path of least resistance. My body did what it needed to on its own, in its own time. And I started to realize that this was taking a bit longer. So I kept going back to the doctor. And he was really gentle with me and gave me what I needed. I felt like he was just like, you can take as much time as you need. He wasn't forcing me into doing anything. He was giving me time to like do acupuncture and do all of these different things that I needed to do to support myself to really feel like I was doing this on my own. I started taking all these different herbs. I looked up a whole regimen to try to support my body and helping this release and pass. And it wasn't happening on its own. And guys, I went almost 5 weeks of waiting for this to happen. And when I tell you, the darkest month, like I think I just sat on my couch and cried for an entire month because not only was I so upset with what was happening, I was like, why can't this just be easy? Why can't this just release? Why can't this just pass so I can move on? I did so many different energetic healing rituals and a lot of it helped, but it didn't complete what needed to happen. So I did need some intervention. And that was really, 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 really scary and tough. But of course, we got through it. And then after that, this was now like March. So like literally the whole month of February was just like sitting and waiting. And March was finally like this place of restarting and renewing and refreshing. And I remember going away. I was in St. Bart's on a private retreat, and I like started to feel like myself while I was there. And it was like wonderful just to be in that environment and be there and feel so connected to nature and teaching meditations and all of that. And then after that, I remember just being like, now I feel I really, really want this in my life. Like, this is something I really want, and I'm going to be willing to do whatever I need to do to make it happen. And together, Vinny and I were like, we really want this. So we started trying again. I prayed to God and I said, God, please do not make me go through what I went through. I rather wait a long time than have to go through this again. So the next time I get pregnant, I want it to be the time that I stay pregnant and that I have a healthy baby. And I remember just like begging and pleading and praying to God for that. So we started to try again, I think in April. I told myself I would have waited longer and given myself more time. But the truth was, like, I just felt very ready and aligned. And to our surprise, it was not happening so easily and quickly. So a few months passed and I started to work with a nurse practitioner. I'm going to have her on the podcast at some point because I love her so much. She's given me like so much support, so much advice for fertility, helped me to just really be certain that this will one day happen for me. Even if right now, it doesn't seem like anything is happening. Like one day it will happen and maybe there's just things we need to align. So she would take my blood work. She would look at my labs. Before I started working with her, I went to a fertility doctor and she was like, she looked at my ovarian reserve and all these things. And she's like, oh, this is great. Like this could just be a fluke. You're going to be totally fine. We want to like see your husband's all his stuff too and compare it, make sure it's all good. She gave us the green light. Everything's good. And then after it wasn't happening for a little while, that was in March, I went. After it wasn't happening for a little while, that's when I started working with Nicole. And she was just so helpful. She was just like so real and honest and like real about her journey and how what she's learned and how she can help me. And so, it felt so nice to talk to her. And she actually picked up on something that needed to be optimized that the fertility doctor didn't even tell us about. And it's like something that like, I guess some doctors would be like, oh, that is important. Some won't. So she was like, you know what? I think after a few months of working together, it wasn't happening. We knew I got pregnant so easily the first 2 times. She's like, I think you should just start working with a fertility doctor as well. I'll be here to support you in anything you need. Start working with a fertility doctor. And let's just see what they say and what they suggest. And I was feeling the same way too. So my friend actually told me about a doctor that was really well known that was helping her. And I went there. And basically what we were doing is he looked at all of our information and he told Vinny to go and get all of his hormones checked by an endocrinologist. And then for me, he was monitoring my ovulation because on paper, nothing was wrong. Nothing seemed to be wrong at all. So every month I would go, he would take a sonogram. He would see if I was ovulating. He would take my blood work. And then he would tell us when to have sex. And some months were just so treacherous and annoying and not fun, obviously, because it's like not spontaneous. You're like literally looking to achieve something each time. And then all of a sudden, so I think I started seeing him in November. So March was the first fertility doctor. All throughout spring and summer, I worked with Nicole. And then I think around November, I went to this other fertility doctor. And he was monitoring my ovulation. And So around January, Vinny and I were like, I think we're ready for a project. We're ready to open the space. It's been a dream. Let's do it. Because like, as much as this is ruling our life and everything that's going on in our life and it's our focus, we also have other dreams and aspirations. Like, you guys may have known I was going through something, may not have. I was still showing up. I'm teaching meditations. I'm doing all the things, maybe in a little bit of a different way, but we were like, this has been a dream. We're not going to sit here and wait. Like, let's open the space. So many people said, like, I don't know, I just have a feeling like after you open the space, you're going to get pregnant. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. We're not doing it for that reason at all. This is something we want to give birth to in this realm, and we're going to do it. So January, we started. We're still going to the fertility doctor every month. And then it finally came time for us to open in March. And I had an interesting visit that month. I went there as usual to go and get checked. And I was like, I think this month is off the table. My husband's traveling. He's going away for hockey. I'm opening my space this weekend. Like, there's so much going on. So I think it's off the table. And it was a different doctor that day. And she just looked at me and she complimented my eggs, which I really appreciated. She never saw me before and gave me a compliment. I was like, why, thank you. I just need to hear something good at this point, because what is going on? Why is this taking so long? And she was like, maybe this is the month for you. And I was like, all right, thanks. Like, it's so nice to hear a doctor sometimes like break the mold of super uber professionalism and come into that space of like humanism. And she's like, maybe it's the month. I'm like, all right. And at this point, my grandfather is not doing well at all. I actually forgot to mention the month before that, I was about to ovulate. I remember being in the hospital bed with him. I was laying next to him, rubbing him. And I was like, ooh, I think I just felt myself start to ovulate. The next morning I woke up and had my period. And that has never happened to me before. I am like a 28-day cycle girly, gratefully and luckily. I've never had like any situations with my period or my hormones or anything like that for the most part. And I had a complete meltdown because now, like, I knew my grandfather had very limited time here. I was super emotional about that. I'm wondering what the F is going on with my body and why now at this moment I have my period and I'm not even ovulating. Like, what the F is going on? Like, that was a really, really, really challenging time and month for me. And, then that next month, that's when I went to the doctor. It was a different doctor, and she just complimented me, told me something nice. I was like, thank you. I just need anything right now. And she was like, maybe this is a month for you. And I was like, I don't think so. My husband's going to be away. I'm opening this space. And she called later that day and she was like, everything looks good. You are ovulating. So whatever happened last month was a fluke. It could have been because of stress, because of everything you're going through. But there's no reason what we're seeing right now, why you shouldn't be able to conceive. And sure enough, my grandfather didn't know this, but my grandfather started saying, Erica's pregnant. Erica's pregnant. And my mom was like, no, she's not. And he's like, she's pregnant. I'm telling you, she's pregnant. And I got pregnant that month. I didn't find out when he was saying it. I actually found out on April 7th. I'll never forget. 7's like a lucky number for me and Vinny. We got engaged on the 7th. We moved in together on the 7th, and I found out we were pregnant on the 7th. And it was wild. So immediately after taking a test, I need to add more details. Throughout this entire time, I was using the Oura Ring to track my temperature, and I was using the Inedo to monitor my ovulation and all my hormones as well. Every single day, there were like pee cups all over my house in every bathroom. So I was using all of these tools, and like there was just so much focus and so much emphasis on conceiving. And then the month where I was like, oh, this is definitely not going to happen this month, I was so chill. I was like, Vin, go away, enjoy hockey, who cares? Other months I'd be like, what's going on? We need to conceive. Like with all this stress, like something just switched within me. And honestly, it could have even been like a little bit of defeat. It could have been me being like,
we've been trying for a year at this point. Like, I can't have you stay home from something you want to do in your life because we want to conceive when we've been trying for literally 12 months at this point. Nothing has happened. You know, like after the 2 miscarriages, we tried for like literally 12 whole months. So I was like, whatever. I like gave it to God. I chilled. I relaxed. I was like, it is what it is. And honestly, I was so excited and so fulfilled from starting the space. And I do think that could have something to do with it as well. Yeah. So after I found out on April 7th, my whole energy just was of being in a place of absolute neutrality. I was not excited. I was more like shocked and like, holy shit, this is really happening. And oh my God, is this real this time? And I told a few people very close to me, but I wouldn't let them be excited either, which was kind of sad and upsetting, but I just like couldn't have that in me. So my cousin would be making fun of me. She's like, I just want to be so excited. I'm like, yeah, but we're like not celebrating yet. And honestly, like I held that energy for a really long time, and we would go to the doctor and get positive checks, and like everything was looking really good. And I would celebrate in that moment. And I remember like for my 8-week appointment, my 10-week appointment, I'd be really happy in the moment. And then like a few days later, I would just start to question, have anxiety, I would say like just a lot of fearful thoughts based off the past. And in those moments, I would do everything I possibly could to bring myself out of them and try to stay positive, but it was nearly impossible for me for a really long time. So the doctor's appointment would be great. I would hear great news, and then I would leave. I would be excited for a few days, and then like no one was allowed to be excited again. And I think I started to become, I remember at 11 weeks and 2 days, I went to the doctor's, and that was a really big appointment. It's the furthest obviously that I've ever gone to. My doctor let me come every 2 weeks instead of waiting every 4 weeks, because she knew I was nervous and she knew about like my history and my past. So she like did that just for my sake of mind. So by 11 weeks, I remember getting just having a great appointment and being like, I'm actually going to enjoy this now. And then once I was like, but everyone says 12 weeks. So after my next appointment, I'm really going to enjoy it. So like 12 weeks and 6 days, we went back. I remember like all of these crazy numbers, and I was like, wow, I'm really like allowing myself to feel this and celebrate this. And that's when we started to tell some of our close friends, at like 11 to 12, 13 weeks. That's when we start to tell people. And the other thing is it's like summer now, so I feel like I could have gone forever. And Leo season really helped me to come out and share, which was so good for me. And I'll tell you like about that process, but I really just wanted to keep it a secret. I did not want any outside energy. This whole entire, like keeping my story quiet actually made me like super, super private and really, really quiet and not myself. And I'm a person who's like really open. I love to share. I really love to be public facing, but it made me very sensitive and very, very private. And I thought like maybe that's who I am now. And I'm not sure, I'm still discovering that right now. I'm sharing more as it feels good and aligned to me. And this is feeling very good to me. I'm very aligned and I feel like I'm back in a sense, but it's summer and it was getting harder to hide. And I was having body dysmorphia, but like the opposite way. I was looking at myself. I'm like, I don't even look pregnant. I just look bloated. And Vinny's like, Erica, your boobs are huge. Guys, you probably thought I got implants. I know my boobs are tremendous. I'm very proud of them right now. Never had boobs in my life. So that was a giveaway to anyone who's been watching, but it's like, your boobs are huge. Your stomach does not look bloated. You look pregnant. And I'm like, no, I don't. And all I wanted to do was look pregnant. One day I was walking on the street and my neighbor was like, are you expecting? And I was like, I don't think I look like it at all. And I was excited. Like, you know how people like don't really ask that because they're scared they're going to offend you. I was so excited. She said it and she's like, no, you look great. But like, you have a belly. And I was like, I do. Thank you. And like, I was just so excited to finally have a belly, to finally show, to finally be pregnant. Like, I knew as soon as I would be so happy and comfortable in my body, no matter what form it starts to take on this journey. So Vinny was like, Erica, it's time. Like, we have to tell people. And he's like, you have to tell your online community. This is ridiculous. You have to start sharing. And I'm like, I can't do it. I'm so scared. So the reel that we filmed was from July 4th because Vinny was off that day. Obviously, it's a holiday. He's like barely ever off. And I'm like, we're filming our reel that day, our announcement that day. And I woke up, it was like a 5 a.m. shoot because it was at sunrise. I'm like, great. Barely even have a belly. And like, if you have been pregnant before, you would know that in the morning, like your belly really isn't there until like later on. I feel like for me, it was 18 weeks is when I finally started waking up with a little bit of a belly. So I was like, oh, I have to like push out for this and like make it look like I look pregnant. This is our time to film this. And I kept saying that I would film it. I would post it like the next week. I kept putting it off until this first week of August when I finally felt really safe to. And the night before, I took a class at the Space, and it was a birthing class with Alexandra. She led a beautiful, beautiful class. And I sat around with people who like knew me from social media or knew me from opening the Space or whatever. And I sat there and it was the first time that I said to like people that might know me, that I'm not really that close to, that I'm pregnant. And it felt very liberating. And that was the night before. And I was deciding to post the next day. And before posting, I had mantra hour and I just cried. I knew this entire time. So like I said, since April 7th, I was neutral. I was like nothingness. I would have pockets of excitement, but I kept like this like nothingness and this steadiness and this peace of like, I'm not getting too excited. I'm not getting my hopes up. And then the day before announcing, I started bawling. I started crying. I just felt all of the stored emotions start to move through me. And I knew for so long that there was so many trapped emotions within me. There were so many tears of gratitude that I wanted to cry that I was unable to access and process until I finally came out and said, I'm pregnant, or prepared to say that because it really happened right before. Like it really helped to heal me so much by coming and being honest and open and sharing this exciting news. And finally, like, because I felt like it wasn't only saying it to my Instagram community, I felt like it was saying it to the universe. Like, I'm accepting this gift that I've been blessed with, that I've waited a very long time for, that we went through so much to get to. And it was really, really, really powerful what I sat with before announcing. And I also made sure my energy was really clear and right before sharing. I had mantra playing nonstop. And I was, of course, thinking about everyone who's like on this journey and struggling because it is just so real. It's helped me so much. So I just want to thank you for being such a big part of that, because we've been overwhelmed with so much joy and love and well wishes, and we're so grateful for them. And yeah, so it's just been a really wonderful process now of sharing. And I finally feel like now at 20, it was 20 weeks that I shared. Now I'm at 21 weeks that I'm like, wow, I want to enjoy every second of this. This is already going too quick. And I just want to be here and be present and enjoy what is. The other thing is, before I announced, was I had to come to this place of surrender and acceptance, that detaching from all the outcomes, I want to share what's right here and right now. And I want to be right here and right now. And that was something I needed to do on my own within myself. And it's like that next level and that next stage of surrender again. There is constant levels of surrender, especially part of this journey. And that's really the space I've continued to go back to is like, I'm giving this all to God, to a higher power, to something so much greater than me. And this is all in divine time, and I have no control over any of it. I have zero control. And I think that was like the biggest lesson, that I have zero control. And like, even now, I was just telling Gianna, like, I get annoyed when people ask me a due date. If you ask me, don't worry. Like, I'm not taking it like I'm mad at this person for asking me. But I just get a little annoyed that we get so hung up on details, because the truth is the baby's going to come when the baby's meant to come. And we're going to plan for this due date. But really, like, this is so much more than just us. It's so much more beyond like a textbook. And, you know, of course, that's like the vicinity of when they come. But I've just learned that through this, we really think we plan with how I want to give birth, where I want to give birth, if I want to breastfeed, how I want to raise my child, all of these things. We plan, but the universe and our child is going to show us what they want and how they want to do life and how they want to be fed and how they want to live and come into this world. And we're just the vessel for it. So I feel like it has given me this really profound perspective of what is in my control, what is, and what is not in my control. And how I can move knowing that and understanding that. And it's been a next level awakening for sure. But overall, I just feel very, very, very grateful to be here right now and to share this with you. And I hope that if you're going through this, there's so much I want to share on this. I actually have amazing questions that many people wrote in for a Q&A. I want to get into the nitty gritty of what I was really like in those moments. I have so much footage and videos. I'm not sure if Instagram feels like the best place to share all of it. I am going to share some of it there, but some of the questions were so good and really brought me back to those hardest moments, to the version of myself going through the deepest challenge and struggle. And I really want to share from that space because, guys, it was fucking hard. It was one of the hardest things that I've been through. And the one thing I'll say now, and I'm going to save a lot for the Q&A, but one thing I kept telling myself through it was, I just want to be proud of who I am, even in my hardest times. I want to be proud of the version of me, even in my hardest times. So that meant feeling my emotions. It meant crying. It meant saying no when I didn't want to do something. It meant creating boundaries, but it also meant tapping into love, even if I didn't feel it. Tapping into hope or faith, even if I didn't feel it. Tapping into happiness for others while they were going through their thing, even if it was very hard for me to feel it. And some days were much harder than others. And I just kept coming back to like, can I be proud of this version of me too, who's going through a really hard struggle? That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. But these are the cards I'm being dealt right now. And how could I move through it? And there are moments where, of course, you're not the person that you'd be the most proud of, but that's okay because it's part of the healing, that the human journey. And when we have a challenge and we have something that we feel like doesn't make sense, it can bring out sides of us that maybe we're not so proud of. But overall, just I feel like I allowed myself to really feel everything I was feeling, to validate everything I was feeling, but also hold myself to my highest standard and knowing how interconnected we all are and how there's a plan for all of us, and all of our plans look different for whatever reason. And some of us have a difficult time in our childhood. Some of us have a difficult time in our journey to fertility and having our own family. Some of us have a harder time in high school or college or whatever it may be. And whatever these experiences are, they're in our journey to help us grow and evolve into the version of us. And I have to be honest, I've never felt this level of excitement and certainty of becoming a mother, of like wanting to care for a baby at all stages of life, for wanting to create a nursery, for wanting to get woken up all hours of the night to care for
him or her, which we'll be sharing soon because we do know the gender. But it took me a while to get here, but I know this version of me is the most prepared, the most ready. And do I think I would have been ready 2 years ago when I started the journey? I would have found it in me. But I definitely was a different version of myself then than I am now. I definitely have a different experience, a different level of gratitude for the experience, a completely different perspective on the hardships that will come as a parent because of all that we went through getting here. So definitely more coming. This was just a little bit about our journey. Like I said, there's so much more to share. This was just like an overview of the timeline and how things are not in our control, not in our power. And it's really all about the divine time and the divine plan. So I just want to thank you so much for being here, for listening to the conversation. If you think this could be helpful to anyone, sharing it with them, and just knowing if this is a conversation that you want to be part of, we are going to have a lot deeper conversations about it. And like I said, the Q&A that's going to come next is going to go really deep into the nitty gritty of like really getting through those hard moments. This was just an overview to share a little bit about our journey to where we are today. I just want to thank you so much for being here always. May the longtime sun shine upon you. Satnam.